Rotation, rotation, rotation. Once again, we saw rotation today. You're looking at a daily chart of the Russell 2000 index, which just pulled back to its 5 EMA. It was essentially flat on the session today. There you can see the pullback just a little bit. 24.20 was the low, closed at 24.34. Um, there was a little rotation out of the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the Russell 2000. The Dow once again bumped its head off that 45,000 level and just pulled back slightly, closed at 44,782, down 0.29%. So where was the money flowing to? It was going to the Nasdaq, those magnificent seven names, semiconductors, some software, some retail, but definitely the star of the show today was the Nasdaq, which closed at an all-time high. Closing, it hit a high of 19,436, closed at 19,403, which took out the old high of 19,366. And so the Nasdaq making new highs from the November 11th, and then the other index, which was component of the Magnificent Seven, is the S&P 500, which plowed through the 6,000 level, made a high of 6,053 and closed at 6,047. So near the high of the daily range. You can see the volume on the S&P was above average, 11% above average volume. So what are the drivers of this Nasdaq and S&P 500? Of course, it's Apple, which looks to be breaking out here from this base from July, right? Started just July 237, formed this little box, if you will indulge me here. Just this consolidation here for like 5 months. And now it's breaking out of this box here, 237. Closed today at 239. Apple looks fantastic. When this is going higher, making new highs, this S&P and the Nasdaq are going to be doing well also. Microsoft had a good day today, not quite breaking out, but I will say, it is breaking above that downtrending line, which we like to see here. There's that third point right there, and it just poked above it. So 430, I would say this thing's a buy point right there at that 429.32. The next area, of interest would be that 438.50. We can see if we could get above there. But Microsoft looks fantastic as well. Meta Platforms had a nice day today, broke above its downtrend line as well. Right there, boom. Nice move, 3.22%. And it's still consolidating within a base, and your standard is 602, but I wouldn't wait for that. Meta looks fantastic, Apple looks fantastic, Microsoft, Amazon. Of course, we got the retail, excuse me, not the retail sales. We got the Black Friday sales data, which was stronger than expected, especially the e-commerce, which is, you'd think it would be Amazon and Visa, MasterCard, people using their cards to buy Christmas stuff on Black Friday, get those deals. And of course, those are retailers that are good at, direct to consumer sales. I'm going to get to those in a minute. Anyway, Amazon looks good. Google, which had been lagging now, starting to look a little better, perking up after that trip down to the 200. Now it's rising above all moving averages here. So, Google looks great as well, above 172, above the. Now I've got this 5 right now because the 5 is indicator of the faster moving stocks, and the 5 is trending lower. I'd be a little careful with the Alphabet there. Still has some work to do. Tesla, another member of the Magnificent Seven, just got in that little shelf. It pulled back to the 5 here and popped on what, Friday, in a holiday shortened trade on Friday, and then followed through today to the upside. I think on the yeah, this is forming like almost like a little box here. 361.93 is the high, I believe, there from last week. Like to see it take that out, hit 360 today. 360 exactly, and then got rejected. So 361.53, 361.93. And so, yeah, that's the target for this week. I just say above 362, and this thing could be off to the races here. Tesla and NVIDIA. I did mention that the semiconductor names were pretty strong. NVIDIA, not really one of them, but it did pull back to the 50. And there's so many eyeballs in this one, expecting it to take off. It's just shaking people out here with a trip down to the 50. And it's going to move when it wants to move and not when we want it to move. Anyway, I did mention semiconductors along with the Magnificent Seven. ARM Holdings now popping off of its 200. So it undercut the 200. Now it's trying to rally back through its 50. That's one to watch. AMD has been struggling mightily recently, has a lot of work to do, but it did pop 3.5% today. Taiwan Semiconductor, another one that undercut the 50 and rallied above all of its moving averages, more than a 5% move today. And then Broadcom. Still has work to do, undercut the 50, now trying to rally back through. So it was up nearly 3% today. So semiconductors were strong, except for the one that A Lab. Oh, it was up today. Okay. It was flat on the session. Anyway, it's still, finding support at the 5 here. And the 5 is still curling up. You can see how it ran up and now curled down just a bit. And now it's ticking back up again. That's why I like the 5, because on fast moving stocks in an uptrending market, it's highly sensitive to, a day or two sell off. Anyway, it's back above the 5 EMA. All right, I'm going to move on because I give not a warning. I just asked the members to, just kind of watch these stocks that were super hot last week, and I expected them to sell off, to stay away from them. And this is what happened. IONQ, nothing wrong with IONQ. It just pulled back to its 5. That's all. It just got a little bit ahead of itself. You got to expect profit taking when you have, we're up 100% in a week. Come on. This one was down more than 10% today, but in the last couple of weeks, you can see this is a red cat, a drone up 90% one week, 30 the next week. So yeah, you give back 10, that's chicken feed. That's just part of the donation, part of doing business here. LUNR, another one, pulling back to the 5. They've just had monster moves, and you got to see some profit taking there. You can see the consolidation. The breakout week, 27%, 21%, 8%, then finally just get back 10% today. But these are stocks to watch. They're super hot, but don't just jump right in and expect them to keep going up. They're momentum plays. Rocket Lab is another one, and I'm not going to go through all these. I mean, you know which ones are super hot, not too hard to find. But now they've pulled back. So anyway, I'm not going to go through all that. Also, I had some oil and gas stocks and some energy stocks, but I'm not going to go through them because they kind of, crapped out. Although I lied. I will go through a couple that I like. FTI, pull back to its 5. Something to keep an eye on. KGS. Oil stocks have been strong, just surfing the 5 now. And a couple of energy names that I like. GE Vernova, not doing anything wrong. I kind of like this little flagging action, after a big move. Now it's just flagging, not bad. And the other one was BST, doing the same thing, this little flag back to the 5. It actually undercut the 5. I think it's more closer to the 10, down 3.5% today. But you can see the big move from 111, to what, 170. Now it pulls back to 154. Still looks good, just flagging, and they'll rotate back into these ones as well. Just wasn't their day today. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, but they'll come back to these things. Another one is TLN. Another one that I like, I should say, and this one's just doing this little shelf pattern here. Yeah, pulling back, near the 5. And then, like I said, they'll come back to these eventually. Just got to be patient if you own them, which I do. And it kind of, I would like to see it go up like Apple today, but they're not going to go up every day for you. Okay. All right. So I did mention the retail names were strong. The retail, I got a boost from Black Friday, strong data on Black Friday. I know my friends were over there at Victoria's Secret spending a ton of money, and this thing just bounced off the 5 here today, up nearly 8%. This is one of the top 10 components of the XRT, which I didn't know until I looked it up. Kind of surprised me a little bit. Small cap, 3.2 billion, but stands to reason. Christmas season, buy some lingerie, I guess. Anyway, Walmart got an upgrade, at least one upgrade today, and this thing's just rolling. This is why it's on my leading stock list, man. Just surfing that five. Any stock that's above the five like that, this thing's a monster. Man, 92.99 was the high today. Yeah, and just 1.2% above that 5 EMA. So that thing is rolling nicely. Another retail name, this is apparel. This one's got this nice cup-shaped pattern, but is not interested in forming a handle. This thing is just moving since earnings 18%, followed up Friday with a 2% move today, and today is up nearly a 5% move. So since its earnings call, this thing has been very strong stock. And you can see the big blue volume bars coming in there. Very nice for urban. ANF is another one that I would think would do well. I'm not really looking at it, but this thing could be breaking above its downtrending line as well, huh? Yeah, definitely one to watch there. I would say above that, the high for today might be an area of interest. If you could get above 164, call it, and then 167.71, and then 172.90. I don't see why not. They've been reporting strong quarters. Had nice volume today. That's Abercrombie and Fitch. Affirm. I just wrote this one down. I don't know if it did well or not. No, it was down 2%. Buy now, pay later. Just pulled back to its 5 though. TPR has been strong since the Dr. No has rejected the deal for Michael Kors or Capri. And so since Capri and Tapestry both came out and said they're no longer interested in doing the deal, this thing had gapped higher in this date and has just been ripping higher, just pulling back to the 5 to find support. So that one looks good as well. Deckers, leader in the shoe space. Cup with handle pattern. I had it on the ready list last week. I took it off because it was a little extended, but just because I take something off doesn't mean I don't like it. I really like Deckers. I think I might have trouble with that 200 number, but we'll see. The high today was 203.78. Yeah, it closed it in 201.90 or 202, but big blue volume bars. And if we look at, the weekly or, we want to go, long term, Deckers has been a monster, one of the top performing stocks of this century. I don't see it slowing down. And then CROX. CROX in the shoe space, I think the 100 level, if you got up below 100, I think that's the bottom for this one. And now it's pressing 110, so it's already made like a 10% move. If you got it there around 100, if you're a bottom, picker, but it's got a lot of overhead supply. It's got a lot of resistance. But I think if you're patient and you have more of a long-term approach, I think that 100 level was a good time to get in. It does have that gap to fill at 135. Wow, that's a long way to go. All right. So that's it for the retail. I know there's other retail. I'm just, gonna go through some other stuff today. The Fintech names, Square. I think I had it on the ready list. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't have it in front of me here. I had it last week, I'm pretty sure, but it broke out. Now it's got a little extended here. It did pull back to the 5 and popped a little bit today. So Square looks pretty good. Sezzle was another one of these put on the red list and it pulled back to its 21. Man, when they slice their moving average, like even the 10 here, that's adios muchachos for me if I own it. But it's probably going to find support at that 21 there. Close at 18% of the daily range. 21 is 370, pulled back to 368, closed $15 higher at 383. I'd say, you got to wait till it gets above like what was last week's high, about 420 or something. No, not last week's high, last Friday's high. Anyway, this one's a fast mover and pulled back to its 21 today, so not too good. FOUR pulled back to the 5 today. Still, it's had a big move recently, really strong stock recently. And then TOST sliced its 5 today, so I'll look out below. All right, I got to go with my boomer trade. Once again, I have a friend who flew in from Portugal, and she said that it was really super crowded. I go, yeah, you're flying Thanksgiving weekend. Anyway, this is, strong stock, just closed right at the 5 today. It's Delta Airlines and then Alaska Airlines. It was up 1% today, closed above the 5. And then United Airlines. So the airline stocks still flexing, still showing strength, surfing the 5. These boomers taking the money out of their 401ks and they're booking flights and they're taking cruises and they're dining and wining and living their best life. This is Royal Caribbean RCL, just surfing the 5 here. I mean, there's nothing to do here with this. And if you bought it back here, 169 during the breakout, you're just holding your money, counting your chips. But don't count them at the table. You got to cash them in. This is Carnival CCL. Always reminds me of Creedence Clearwater, uh, Creedence Clearwater Revival CCR. But this one's just surfing its 5 as well. I mean, these cruise lines are super hot. Norwegian, bounced off the 5 today, popped nice 5%. I didn't check Viking today. Flat, nothing burger. Kind of like the market. Some days the market's really hot, some days it's really nothing, flat. And today was just kind of like, didn't no big sell off, not really big gain, just kind of a flat day for the first day of December. Just trying to point out some areas of strength. App 11 making another new high today in the software group. And I got, I own this one, and I got a friend who sold it a while back, and he's just telling me it's topped, it's topped, it's topped. And I go, well, I don't see it. So if I don't see it, then I'm not going to sell it. It keeps going up every week. So I did trim. I'm not, I was going to get too heavy into earnings, but I don't see anything wrong with this at all. It's above its 5. Its servings moving average. If it slices it and comes down to the 21 and cracks 300, that's something else again. But here at 340, I'm comfortable holding App 11. It's making new highs. Stocks that are making new highs are not stocks to be sold, unless they reverse, 10% lower. This is Elastic with gapped higher on earnings, just traded sideways, allowed that 5 to catch up, and then it popped right off that 5 EMA of 109. You can see the 5 EMA was 109.34. The low was 109.11. So it came right down to that technical trading right there and closed 96% of the daily range, which is you want to see higher closes. I saw a lot of stocks selling off into the close today, which I didn't like. But oh well, you can't always get what you want. You get what you need. Roblox, this one bounced off the 21 and the 5 pretty much merging here as it kind of sold off. It made that high of 55.10, pulled back to the 21, and now popped 4% today. So that one looks pretty good. And then the Datadog, gap tire, boom, boom, boom. Man, that was quite a move. And then it just pull back to it essentially just allowed the 5 to catch up, and now just flat the last couple of days, like nothing burger, but not selling off anymore. It's just kind of flattening out. So holding its gains is what we like to see. And then the drugs. NVCR had data today, had news, and really gapped higher. Nice 49% move, closed at 74% of the daily range. And that's what you want to see on a gap higher. And then tomorrow, hold the gap lows. This one was up, 18.6, 19%, closed at 76% of the daily range. PTC Therapeutics, PTCT is the ticker symbol, and then had news also and gapped higher with the news. TGTX is, let me see, they're presenting at a conference tomorrow morning, I believe, around the market open. I was up 29 cents today. When I looked at it, it was down. But anyway, it's just holding the 5 here. And if you will, indulge me here, just kind of, forming this little wedge pattern. This thing looks like it's ready to pop once again. I wouldn't be surprised. It just pulled back to its 5 EMA. I don't know what the CEO is going to say tomorrow besides, they're, they have best in show multiple sclerosis drug and they're taking market share. It's about all I can say. But anyway, I will be listening to that because I think it's before the market opens. And then CAPR is another one of interest, just kind of trading sideways. Gapped higher, pulled back to the moving averages now, up 3% today. Definitely one of interest. Anything that moves like that, from 3 to 23, that catches my attention. CAPR, another drug stock. After hours today, Zscaler reported a good quarter. They raised forward guidance, but it sold off 8%. They raised not real significantly, but they inched up their earnings and sales guidance. But I don't know. Somebody after hours is selling it, I guess. CRDO, you can never trust after hours. CRDO is up only 31%. I did not hear their report. I'll have more in the morning on these earnings reports. We have some more earnings tomorrow. A pretty good earnings week this week with some software security names like Rubrik, and then we have some software security like, I believe, Okta. That's the 5th. Tomorrow, Okta on the 3rd, and then Salesforce, one of the Dow Jones Industrial Average components, they report tomorrow afternoon. All right, that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Except for in honor of the great Steve Jobs, I have one more thing because I'm getting a lot of questions. A lot of people are, a little anxious, or there's some anxiety around, the rally, since the election rally, and how long will it go? How long will it last? How much can we expect? What's going to happen in January? Well, let's just take things one day at a time. I'll just say, there was some caution ahead of earnings. We did have a nice rally into the election, and then caution pullback ahead of, what was it, the 5th? I think it was the 5th. Yeah, and then it started to rally since the 5th. So it hit that low of 18,083 and made that high of 19,366, and then eclipsed it today. So people are wondering, is this the top? It's getting overheated. No, I don't think it's overheated at all. I think if we look at, precedent analysis, we'll see that this is normal action. I think this has more room to run. It's right now it's 1% above the 5, 4.5% above the 50, and I think it still just has more room to run. Why do I say that? Well, I look back at prior, elections, and what can we expect when we get these events? I think it was Bush Kerry in 2004. Yeah, it was Bush Kerry in 2004. So I'm going to go to 124, 2004. This election here was, wasn't that close. I think Bush was pretty popular, and it was pretty obvious he was going to beat Kerry, and it rallied up. But you got to remember, at that time, we'd had a 3-year bear market, and 04 was a decent year. But coming into the election, we had quite the sell-off, the 3-wave down sell-off here. You could see this, a couple of them here, like 3 waves down, just very negative, pretty tough times here. There's another 3-wave down, sell off, and then into the election, 3 waves down. But it did, jump as, like I said, Bush was expected to win. He did win. And then what happened in 04 was, this is to date. I got to go ahead a little bit. As we rallied from that 18,000, no, wait a minute, 18,999. I think that was a little bit before the election. I think the election was like November, I don't know, 5th or 6th, right in here. It was about 1905, right in here somewhere. And then it rallied up to 21,091, which was a 15% gain in like, 6 weeks, I'll call it 8 weeks. And then what happened is on January, here we got the January effect. Oftentimes, January is dangerous because as soon as we hit, they start selling for tax purposes. And that's what happened here in 05. But we had the nice election rally of 15%. And then we had the sell-off, the tax loss selling. But that was a little tougher time than in then 09. I'm not going to get into 09 because that was when Obama won, but we were in the financial crisis. And even though, after the election, it still kept selling off. Here was the election right in here. And then, we were in the financial crisis until we hit the I believe it was, what was it, March 9th, when we had the Mark Haynes bottom. Yeah, March 9th bottom here, right there. Boom. There was the bottom, the Haynes bottom. And anyway, so I'm going to exclude 2009 and go straight to 2012. And I think if I go to 320, 2013, it'll give us, when Obama beat Kerry, the second time that he had won, going into the election. Obama, let me see here. I got to go to the right date here. Okay, 3/20/13. Excuse me for a minute here as I go to 3/20/13. All right. Then we have this sell-off on the Nasdaq, 3/20/13. This is after the elections, after Obama when it bottomed here. And then we had this strong rally of 17%. So we had 15%, 17%, and then I'm going to go to Trump in 2016. If I, this is all the way to March. So it's going from a pretty strong rally here from November 28-10, through January. It didn't even pull back, pull back to its 50 on February 26th. So that's a pretty long run there of more than 3 months, 3.5 months. And then in 2016, I'll go to 2017. Here, when Trump won in 2017, we had the little sell-off, that was a very tight race. Whereas, unclear who was going to win. And then once we had a winner, we had a relief rally. Once again, very consistent here. This one was 18%, and it ran for, quite some time. And it just, pulled back to the 21 just a couple of times. And so that's from November to where are we at here? The middle of March here. So you're looking at like a 5-month run. So we had a strong rally, 15, 16, 17, 18%. You're looking at 3 and 4 months rallies here consistently, except for in 2009 when we were in the financial crisis, which we're not in now. We have a strong economy. We just had an election. So we're having this relief rally, and a lot of people are asking, when's it going to end? And I just say take it one day at a time. And I just showed you 4 different elections. Oh, wait a minute. I got to go to 21. I got to go to 21, right? Like 3/20/21, because that's when Biden won. And this one was up a 30% rally here when, Biden and Trump in 2020. We see this little sell-off here. I forget the date. I think it was the 5th or the 6th. Anyway, Biden won. This thing rallied from 10.8 up to 14,175. This is a 30% rally from, what was it, early November up to middle of February. Okay, so you're looking at these 4 months. This is 30%, folks. We could do even better this time. I think the economy is a little stronger right now. There's a lot of optimism. So don't, be too cautious or negative, because like I just said, we just had last time we had a 30% rally, and now we're in a strong upturn, but I think we have a long way to go, to be honest with you. I think December should be a really good month for us. Obviously, 2024 has been a good year. You still have to be in the right stocks, unless you're just, trading the indexes. But I just showed you 2005, 2013, 2017, 2021, 4 out of the 5 elections this century had major, snapback or relief rallies. And now we're in another one here with the victory, Trump victory in 2024, which should run into 2025. You can always, maybe expect some, I don't know, selling in January, just to wait and see. But I think we're pretty strong here. We're in a strong economy. We're in a relief rally, which is normal. I just showed you, what's normal for this type of action. We had this 3-wave down sell-off prior to the election, right? It's kind of painful, but we got through it. Little rally into the election, little caution ahead of the election, and now we're off to the races. And I don't see this thing slowing down. I think we're going higher. you know, the index is making new highs. Whenever the index makes new highs, it usually makes more new highs, a lot more new highs, not just one or two. So that's what I'm expecting. I take things one day at a time, but you know, market environment, your market direction is a key component to you being successful, to all of us being successful in the market. We do still have to do our homework. We still have to make the right stock picks. We also have to be patient. They're not going to go up every day just because the index going off, and it's going to sell off a couple of times, as you saw it pull back to the 21 here. But I'm encouraged. I think the S&P and the Nasdaq are going to be really strong here into year end, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up.